Welcome, everyone. NeighborWorks. Welcome to our caucus and our partnership update. Gerard, Hetman, Todd, Pousley. Todd, congratulations on your new position, and Jesse, Ergott. All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much to Council again for presenting us the opportunity to come before you and give you an update on all the work that our organization is doing throughout the community, but specifically in the city. Let us start by just saying how grateful we are to be a partner with the city of Scranton on some great community development work that's happening here, and just having the opportunity to work hand in hand and think strategically and think long-term about some of the things that we're doing in neighborhoods and citywide to benefit our neighbors. And so we're really grateful for that opportunity to work with all of you, to work with the administration, and really work with our neighbors and on behalf of our neighbors in the work that we do. So I'm happy to be here with my colleagues Todd and Gerard to give you an update on what we've been up to, and also to just have a conversation about what you're seeing and ways that we might be able to be helpful as we move forward. So I'm just going to start off by just kind of talking about the current partnerships that we have already in place and the things that we're already doing in partnership with the city. And I'm going to turn it over to Gerard, who's going to talk specifically about Beautiful Blocks and some of the other programs that we have, and Todd's going to also share some of the work that we're doing in West Scranton specifically, and a few of the other projects that we have on the plate. So again, a number of partnerships that we have active with the city. Again, very grateful for the support and the investment, because when you're investing in NeighborWorks and partnering with us, you're investing in the neighbors that we serve. And that's really what we're all about. And so we do that in multiple ways. This year, we've been very active working with the city on the Scranton Homebuyer Program. So we're really excited about all of the folks we've been able to help through that. And we'll talk a little bit more about the specifics of that a little later. But that involves a couple of different pots of funding, working with home funds, ARPA funds, and so we've been able to really kind of ramp up the amount of people we've been able to assist here in the city due to those resources that came through this year. We also work with some ARPA funds for our home rehab and weatherization program, and so that's really tailored to seniors in the city that we serve, trying to keep them in their homes safely and with dignity through our Aging in Place program. We're also assisting the city with the ARPA-funded facade program. So we've been active in that in the neighborhoods of West Scranton and North Scranton as well. Gerard will give a exciting update about Beautiful Blocks program that continues to grow and continues to be really well received by groups of neighbors throughout the city. So we're excited to see how that continues to expand. Todd will talk a little bit about the Price Street parking lot improvement project in West Scranton. That was just a great visible investment that was made in that neighborhood, and it's getting a lot of good use. And then the Neighborhood Leaders Forum. So this is a partnership that we have with the United Neighborhood Centers to really focus on how we train up residents here in the city of Scranton to have a voice in what's happening in their neighborhood and be a part of positive change. And so we're able to use our partnership with UNC, working with the city, and bringing other outside resources to the table to give people some training and some ideas on how they can, again, have a voice in what's happening in their community. So all of those things are active, and it's created a very vibrant partnership with the city and the staff here. And again, as I mentioned, we're just extremely grateful for the opportunity to be here, to talk about all the things that we're doing that we couldn't do without your help and without the amazing partnership that we have here at the city. So I'm going to turn it over to Gerard. He's going to talk a little bit about our Beautiful Blocks program.
Good evening, Council. It's great to be with you this evening, and thank you for having us in. I know our staff, Jesse, Todd, and I, along with our whole NeighborWorks staff, enjoys engaging with Council and city officials proactively to share updates and really make the most out of our partnerships to improve quality of life here in the city of Scranton. So we'll talk a little bit about Beautiful Blocks. Many of you are familiar with the Beautiful Blocks program. Beautiful Blocks is a residential exterior improvement program that provides matching funding to groups of residents in participating communities to make exterior improvements to their homes. 2024 actually marks, believe it or not, the 6th consecutive year that we were able to offer beautiful blocks in the city of Scranton to Scranton residents. It's been a really impressive, meaningful, and worthwhile partnership that I can say now, having come in towards the end of the first year of the program, has truly made a difference, not just in combating blight and improving property values through those physical improvements, but also building resident leadership, growing cooperation and collaboration among neighbors, and especially seeing different groups of neighbors participate sometimes cycle after cycle. We do allow residents to reapply. It's really exciting to see those bonds, see that resident leadership growing and strengthening in our various neighborhoods in the city. So a few specifics. Beautiful Blocks does provide matching grant funding of up to $1,000 per participating property for exterior home improvements. That covers the full gamut of really work you can do to the outside of the home, particularly in the front of the home, everything from sidewalks to landscaping to new doors and windows, painting, siding, front porch repair, some lights, awnings, really any other various improvement that you can think of. But there is a new item this year, and I'll just jump to this briefly, and I do want to acknowledge Dr. Rothschild and her leadership from the Community Development Chairperson seat, really for brainstorming, encouraging, and working with us to implement this item. This
I might
year,
have stolen your thunder on it because I mentioned something about it briefly last week, but
That's
please
fine.
explain somewhere.
the more people that know, the better. But this year, we're able to offer an enhanced and expanded grant award for homes that complete a sidewalk replacement project. I like to say that sidewalk repair and replacement is one of our favorite Beautiful Blocks projects. Not only does it improve the aesthetics of the property and the curbside appeal of that property, but it also enhances the walkability, safety, accessibility for that property owner, the residents, and all of their neighbors and anyone else transversing through the neighborhood. It's just a great improvement all around. So this year, we're able to offer an enhanced grant award of up to $4,000 for sidewalk projects. So that would entail the residents still providing the $1,000 match, our regular $1,000 on top of that for $2,000 into the project, and then an additional $3,000 into that project. Was there a question?
Yeah, when it comes to the sidewalk project, I know sometimes you have targeted zones or targeted areas that you do. Is this going to be citywide, or is it going to be in certain zones when it comes to sidewalks?
It is citywide, Mr. Schuster. So this does apply to all eligible Beautiful Blocks properties, and all residential properties in the city are eligible for Beautiful Blocks. So it's great. We do, again, have a competitive application process. We try to fund as many applicants as we can. Last year, actually, we were able to fund all applicant groups in the city of Scranton, which was great. We're aiming to fund as many as we can this year. We do have certain areas that we do try to market the program a little bit more to focus on what we call that middle neighborhood effect. In other words, to try to stabilize and improve neighborhoods that may in the future, if attention isn't paid there and resident engagement doesn't happen as much, potentially, possibly see a reduction in quality of life. So we do try to focus the program as best as we can, and that builds into that community building aspect. Again, getting residents not just to do the physical work, but also talk to each other, collaborate, hopefully still work together and communicate and help each other long after the physical work is done in the cycle. That's where we really see that strengthening neighborhood effect take place. And we do.
What's the match on the sidewalk projects?
So it would be up to $4,000 from our agency, and the resident would then have to contribute their own $1,000, and they would receive, again, up to $4,000 from us.
So if they put up 1,000, they could get 4,000.
Yes, sir.
Wow, okay.
Oh, it's a 1,000 to 4,000 match? Or-
Correct, sir. Yes.
Okay.
For a total of $5,000, that would be a total investment, $5,000.
With properties in the city, like a lot of these middle neighborhoods that you're talking about, they pretty much have almost similar lot sizes. Do you happen to know offhand what the average cost of a sidewalk is for that lot size?
I do. I had mine done. So
There you go.
Okay, I've
not
looked into it
utilizing this
myself, so.
wonderful program, I can say, but I live on St. Anne Street, so every house is 40 by 140. So I had sidewalks done maybe 3 years ago, 40. I got a year before price because I booked, I booked early, but it was, say, $2,500 for a 40-foot sidewalk.
Sure.
And
So
I've
that,
got quotes on mine that are around 2,000. Now, I had a couple questions, and I just wanted to clarify, too, for the public so they know. if they're interested in like the specific sidewalk restoration, they would still have to have a group on their block or neighboring blocks to apply for the Beautiful Blocks program, because this is lumped into the program. It's not a separate one, correct?
That is correct. This is anyone who wanted to access the sidewalk repair grant would need to apply as part of a Beautiful Blocks group, and they would submit their sidewalk project as their Beautiful Blocks project.
So if Mary next door is getting an awning, Joey next door can get $5,000 worth of sidewalks,
That is correct.
but only have to put up 1,000,
That is correct, sir.
after getting an estimate. Does that include curbs?
It does include curb work, yes, sir.
Wow.
And does it also include if it's, if someone's not doing like a new concrete sidewalk, so I've got like the old slate slabs that start to come up, which a lot of the hill does, and so I've looked into like, getting someone to flatten those out, and it was probably equivalent to what it would cost just to put concrete down, but those look nicer if you're able to flatten them out. So it could be you're saying restoration, so it could be a project like that, not just new concrete.
Well, we do look for uniformity in this. Our intention has been to run the program so that all sidewalks are the same. We were going to require concrete in order to have kind of a standard base of repair once those sidewalks are implemented that would hold up for a good amount of time. If there's a case for that to, work otherwise, I think we would listen to residents. We don't want to tear up historical precedent, certainly. We try to respect, that type of situation in all of our work. But we would encourage, I would say, residents to do the concrete. We don't want asphalt or something else coming in that would drastically look different from the rest of the neighborhood. We're trying to encourage, again, some uniformity in walkability, especially if multiple residents are going to do that same type of sidewalk project. We've seen that even before we've offered the enhanced grants through different groups that they cooperate on having contiguous property, sometimes do sidewalk repair.
Okay, that's good for people to know. Thank you.
And the 4,000, is that per household or per project?
It's per participating property. So,
Okay, I know one set of sidewalks that comes up from time to time at public participation is it's Bulwer Street, so it's like the intersection of Bulwer and Rebecca. Les Spindler comes often to talk about how the water comes off the road. Now, I do know that parallel to Bulwer is Hawthorne, so the same thing with the intersection of Hawthorne and Rebecca. When the roads were repaved and when I think the corners were put on, these two streets parallel each other where the water comes right down. The water's no longer on the road, it's coming right down the sidewalks. So we talked about those slate sidewalks. So there may be 6 to 8 neighbors
sure.
on these 2 blocks here that could probably have the whole street done, which would be nice. But what's happening here is, and I know this from living next door to the home, my parents redid their sidewalks with concrete several years ago. Their concrete sidewalks, which are newer, are starting to crack due to the water. But the slate sidewalks next door are all over the place. And in the last few snowstorms, these are sidewalks that I've shoveled for 40 years.
Sure.
And they've definitely, in the last 3 to 4 years, have changed drastically. And when I was a kid, these slate sidewalks were probably perfect from, I don't, what year did we put those in Scranton? 1920s or before? So for quite a number of years, those sidewalks were all right. But now that the curbs and the pitching of the roads have changed, it's diverting those water down there. So I'd like to hopefully encourage Les to get involved in some of the neighbors over there. But I know that they're 2 problem blocks when it comes to the sidewalks being ruined.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. Certainly, we would love to have applications from that area, so we'd be happy to talk to Les or anyone else from the neighborhood who's interested. On that note, we will...
Just one quick question. So this expanded grant program, which is fantastic, I love everything about it because it includes curbs. And so is this potentially going to be a separate grant available like almost every year, like say next year? Or is some of this being funded by ARPA that will probably go away in a couple of years or should be used up by then?
There's no ARPA funding in Beautiful Blocks, sir, no.
Okay, so where is the funding coming now for this extra expanded grant?
There are a variety of sources. We do have city funds in the budget from the city's general operating budget. We do also have some CDBG funding through the city available also. The remaining funding largely comes from the Neighborhood Assistance Program that's offered through the State Department of Community and Economic Development through our partners that contribute to that program. It's a tax credit program where they make a donation to us, and then that donation, then they get a tax credit back for a large majority of that donation.
So this is fantastic, and it's new, and not everybody's going to hear about this, and a lot of people miss the deadline that I hear every year, and it's not by anybody's fault, because you're out there, and these, this program is well publicized. But so say Mary misses the boat this year on getting sidewalks. Could she, or take advantage of this expanded grant, can she maybe look forward to probably happening next year, or do you see this as going to be a regular program?
We will do our best to offer, especially if we see a need for it. We do assess the program year to year. This is the first time that we've offered any type of enhanced or expanded grants for individual projects. I think if it's well received, we would certainly consider and try to fund it for next year as best as we could. But as you can imagine, we do go year to year from this. We try to plan out as far as we can. So we'll do our best to make it happen, especially again if it's in demand, as we hope it will be. But we can't sit here now and say I think that we can firmly commit to it for next year or future cycles. But if it's well received, we'll try to make it happen.
Because I would imagine this is probably the highest ticketed item when it comes to, the front of your house or doing something outside. It's always the sidewalk, I would imagine. Sure. So.
I think so, and that's why we try to offer this year especially. And
Great.
Thanks Dr. Rothschild for driving that. So yes,
Of course. I was just wondering, how much is being allocated now to the Beautiful Blocks program? Because I think when it had started, wasn't it like 50,000 or something? I was just curious what it's up to now.
I don't have that budget figure in front of me, Doctor. I can get that for you, unless Todd or Jesse have it.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to that. So,
Or how many, properties or blocks do you anticipate being able to service with your funding
sure, yeah.
this year?
So I can tell you the city of Scranton this year has budgeted $40,000. So we're receiving $40,000 directly from the city. Gerard mentioned we have a little bit of CDBG funds left over from a grant we had received a couple of years ago. And then the rest we raise, NeighborWorks raises through the Neighborhood Assistance Program. So historically, over the past few years, it's ranged from probably $85,000 to $90,000 a year that would go out. But, this year we've been able to raise some additional funds. So we have additional funds available for the sidewalk projects. So, plenty to spend this year, and depending on the interest, we'd hope to continue it in future years if we can.
Thank you.
And some of the numbers that you see here, this has been our cumulative impact in Scranton since we launched the program in 2019. So 5 yearly cycles worth of Beautiful Blocks. The figure up there that says blocks, that represents block groups that enter. So some of those are spread over multiple blocks, or they go around the corner wherever the households tend to be located. But largely they do focus on one particular block in the neighborhood and expand a little bit from there. So we've been able to have a tremendous impact, and again, this has actually inspired the expansion of the program into the city of Carbondale in 2021. We'll be in our 4th cycle there, and this year for the first time in the city of Pittston, which we're expanding into with our inaugural cycle there. And just a few before and afters before we get into our West Scranton work. This was one of our favorite sidewalk projects this year along North Washington Avenue. I walk these sidewalks sometimes myself, so that was a big improvement. Again, front door replacement is also sometimes a popular program. You see there, kind of an older door, a little bit flimsier, not as secure, replaced with a more modern, more stout, cleaner looking, safer door for that one. This property, they were going to initially do some work on the front steps, but they changed that. You can just see it in kind of the corner of the before picture. They put in planters on either side of the steps. That worked out really well. Resident there likes to garden, so she does some planting in a little bit more noticeable and efficient fashion. And then this one was one of our railing and pillar replacements that, again, you go on the left from, that old wrought iron that could rust, and you just didn't have really much of an appeal to it, to the look on the right, where you've got more modern plastic-based components. Again, so this year, again, the projects, some of them are larger, some of them, a little bit smaller in scope, but all very impactful, open to residents throughout the city. Again, you saw from one of the previous slides, residents match these grant funds and often even surpass that, sometimes by, several thousands of dollars, depending on what's the project is. And we do allow that opportunity to participate more than once. We do require groups that apply again to include some new residents who did not participate the year before. And then also, we do some of our community building program. We do sometimes recruit Beautiful Blocks participants to NeighborWorks America's Community Leadership Institute program, which is a national level program that teaches resident leadership. We host the Neighborhood Leaders Forum, typically 3 to 4 times a year we aim for. The next one will be March 27th, and we do invite all of our Beautiful Blocks block captains to participate, and if they have residents from their groups they want to attend, they'll bring them as well. We bring in city, county, other nonprofit leaders, officials from local government to try to talk to residents about how to improve their neighborhoods. And then our mobile toolkit is also available for any block groups that want to do a community improvement project. That's a mobile collection of tools and equipment they can use for outdoor beautification projects. Just 2 notes, our cycle opens for applications for Beautiful Blocks this coming Monday, February 5th. The application materials will all be available on our website at nwnepa.org. And we'll be having an information session free and open to the public this next Wednesday, February 7th. Starts at 6 o'clock in the Heinkelman Room at the Albright Memorial Library. So, on that note, I'll turn it over to our Director of Community Development, Todd Pousley, to talk about our work in West Scranton and our progress on the West Scranton Neighborhood Plan.
So that opens up on, applications open up on the 5th. What's the end date for that?
March 18th is our deadline. So just about a month and a half we try to allocate for that process.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gerard. I wanted to share a little bit about our ongoing work in West Scranton. We released our 10-year West Scranton neighborhood plan about 3 years ago now, and ever since, we've been taking a look at some of the different strategies there and trying to implement them. So, wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the things that we did this year. First, we spent a good chunk of the summer trying to clean up some vacant lots in West Side. So we were able to get to 14 lots in total. These were either land bank owned properties, they were city owned properties. There was actually, I think, 1 school district owned property, all in West Scranton that we were able to clean up. Some of those have since been transferred through the land bank to neighbors through the side lot program. Others, NeighborWorks is continuing to maintain, but yeah, we're happy to be able to contribute in that way to cleaning up some of the abandoned properties in the neighborhood. Speaking of abandoned homes, we had 2 that we also raised some funds to demolish. So these were a couple of properties. I'll show you what they look like in a second that we were able to raise some funds for and take down in West Side. We've been really pleased to launch a series of events in West Scranton as well. One thing we heard from a lot of residents during the planning process was that they wanted to see more things happening in West Side. So since then, we've been able to launch a few events. We do now an annual April Fool's Egg Hunt at Novembrino Park. We do a summer concert series. I believe we had 6 summer concerts at Allen Park in West Side this past year. We have a fall festival, which is our largest widely attended event. That's in the fall at both Cloverfield and Allen Park. It's kind of a day-long event. And then this year, for the first time, we did a tree lighting event in Allen Park that was also well received. So as you can see, another purpose to these events beyond giving folks something to do and building some community is also utilizing some of our parks. So all of our events we hold at city-owned parks. We try to get people out so that they can use them in different ways, realize they're there if they haven't been there before. Another fun thing that we did this year was something we called West Side Wonderland. We've been trying to work with and support small businesses in West Scranton as part of our work there. So this year we did a kind of joint marketing initiative. We did some marketing, tried to drive some traffic to small businesses during the holiday season. We had this fun Where's Wesley contest. You can see Wesley up there. We took him and hid him in different businesses around West Side and released some clues, and then awarded prizes for people that went around and found Wesley in some different places. So really well received by business owners, by residents in the community, and something we're looking forward to doing each year. We had mentioned the parking lot project. So this is a city-owned parking lot on Main Avenue, corner of Main Avenue and Price Street over in West Side. If any of you are familiar with what this lot looked like before, it didn't look anything like this. It was essentially just a paved lot. We worked with some funding, CDBG funds through the city, and worked in partnership with the city to make the improvements that you see here. So we added some landscaping, some fencing, the West Scranton Business District sign that you see here, a placemaking element to make sure folks know where they are and kind of recognize this as West Side. All improvements aimed at making this not only a more aesthetically pleasing place to park, but also a safer place. We talked a little bit about facade grants, so really excited to partner with the city on its ARPA facade grant program, and we're partnering with Scranton Tomorrow and United Neighborhood Centers, but NeighborWorks has been focused on West Scranton and North Scranton, and we are complementing some of the funds that we're getting out through the ARPA program with some funds that NeighborWorks raised itself for projects specifically in West Side. So between these two programs this year, we've got 10 completed projects, including this one that you see here, which is one that the mayor had an opportunity to share with President Biden at the White House not that long ago. But this was actually the first ARPA facade grant project that was completed. This is a location in North Scranton, Central Station Marketplace and Antiques, and you can see the kind of impact that these facade grants have on some storefronts like this.
So this was the first facade, and then you've completed 10 more since?
Yeah, so that was the first one that was actually the first one completed citywide as part of the program. Scranton Tomorrow and United Neighborhood Centers are also completing facade grant programs in other areas of the city.
What other areas of the city are they doing those in?
So it covers the entire city. Scranton Tomorrow is covering the downtown and the hill section, and then United Neighborhood Centers is taking care of South Side and Pine Brook.
Have any facades been done in that West Side area from where that parking lot in Allen Park is? Have any of those been completed?
Yeah, we've had a few. Vincenzo's utilized a facade grant when they purchased the property next door and opened up their patio area there. Gerard, remind me, we've got a couple of others around there too, right?
Yes, the Bilio Insurance utilized the program. They did an awning project on the front of their business. There's a new business going in. The company's name is Leaf Maine. They just applied and were approved. That's one of the buildings in the row near Coney Island. That was another one. And in North Scranton, there's been a few others as well that kind of bunch in there. Both Fratelli's Pizza, there's a few others. The carpet shop on the other side of that have both also applied. A few others in there as well.
Thanks.
You're welcome. We wanted to mention Scranton City Pride, too, which is an annual beautification event we've been doing for a few years, again, in partnership with our friends at Scranton Tomorrow and United Neighborhood Centers. This year we had 11 total cleanup projects, 16 beautification projects, over 1,000 participants, so these are residents from the city that are volunteering, over 2,000 service hours, 158 bags of trash collected. And new this year we had a Garbage Olympics, which was a bit of a competitive event. We had Dr. Rothschild was one of our volunteers, and we basically had groups come out. They could be families, individuals, business groups would come out. We'd assign them a few blocks in the neighborhood. They'd go out and collect as much trash as they could, and then we had a little block party afterwards and awarded some prizes for those who collected the most trash or found the most interesting trash items, things like that. I mentioned the demolition project, so this is just a photo of one of the properties here that we had demolished. And here's the second one. So as you can see, two homes that were really beyond repair, that were both land bank owned properties in West Scranton, that we raised some money so that we could demolish and get them to the point where they could be returned to productive use. This one in particular, we are hoping to transfer to one of the neighboring property owners so they can add it to their property. The other one's a buildable lot, so right now the land bank's holding on to that. We'll continue to maintain it and, be an opportunity for our organization to put a new home on there or someone else to do so. And I'm going to turn it back over to Jesse just to kind of wrap up. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Todd. And just to close with homeownership services has really been a highlight of our work and our partnership with the city over the last year. As you can see, going back to 2020 when we first started partnering with the city to administer this program, we kind of relaunched the program, focused on kind of rolling it out in a different way than it had in the past and putting some resources into the hands of prospective home buyers here in the city, hopefully creating some opportunities for folks who may not have been able to purchase without a program like this. So 2020, we helped 10 clients or 10 prospective home buyers purchase a home here in the city. And you can see in 2021, that rose to 19 and same with 2022. This past year, with the help of the ARPA funds that were allocated towards this program, that jumped to 42 new homeowners in the city of Scranton with the assistance of this program. So a huge, huge impact, allowing people the opportunity to make a purchase that they wouldn't have otherwise. And also, what we see is these funds, these federal funds, whether it's home or ARPA, having a unique opportunity to be invested in equity in these neighborhoods, right? So these are dollars that are going to folks who are building immediate equity in their homes, and that's improving the neighborhoods. We see over and over studies and plenty of indications of how home ownership really strengthens neighborhoods and stabilizes places. And so in a city like Scranton, where we've seen home ownership rates kind of fluctuate and drop since, going back to 50s, 60s, 70s, really trying to combat that, right? And programs like this go a long, long way because it encourages people and incentivizes people to invest here in the city. And in many cases, those are people who are purchasing in the city that would have looked elsewhere without a program like this. So these investments are really important. Again, over $600,000 in funding that's gone out to help people purchase homes right here in the city. These are families with young children. These are folks who are moving into these neighborhoods and making their own investments. So it's a big deal. I think the other thing that we would love to convey is that this program has really become a model for other communities. Other cities have approached us and are looking to launch similar programs based off of our partnership with the city of Scranton and what's happening here, because they're seeing the type of impact that can happen in some of the funding that can be attracted to a place when you've got a program that works. And so we work with realtors, we work with local banks and lenders, and they want to invest and they want to point their clients to programs like this because they see how effective it is. And so we're seeing other cities that we work in our footprint, other communities look to jump on board with this model. And so we give a lot of credit to the city for coming to the table and saying this is something that we want to do. This is a priority that we want to we want to have for our neighbors and our residents to make sure that people have an opportunity for home ownership. And so we're just grateful to be part of that and to work in partnership with the city on a program like this. So thank you again for this opportunity.
Can we go back to that last
Sure.
slide?
Happy to talk more about that.
So, I mean, obviously, we could see that the addition of the ARPA money doubled people that
Correct.
were participating in this program. Would you say those other years, 2020, 2021, and 2022, did you have that many applicants for those years?
did.
You just weren't able to fund them?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's, we always have a lot of folks on the waiting list and a lot of people, showing interest in this program. It's just we're always limited by the amount of resources that are available. So, through typical funding, which is kind of home funds that come through the city, there's a limited amount because that needs to go typically to a couple different things that the city's trying to do, multiple priorities. So the ARPA funds have been really helpful, and it's allowed us to kind of focus those and get them out the door, because a lot of communities are having significant issues with spending that money in the time frame they've been given. Programs like this work, and we're already built to get the money out and to help folks with it. So, it's been a great addition, but, we continue to find other ways to try to find resources to leverage the home dollars that the city's committed and say, how can we attract other investment to put towards things, programs like this, because there's always somebody who needs it, right, and who wants to take advantage of that opportunity.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No. With that being said, have we seen people individuals or families that have been on a wait list, and you brought up wait lists, so in 2020, say that continued to be on that list and purchased the home in 2021?
There definitely have been families who've had to wait until resources were available because they couldn't make a purchase without that kind of down payment assistance, yeah.
Nice. Now, are we tracking families or individuals that buy homes using this program?
Absolutely.
And making sure how many years they've been in the homes, things like that?
Absolutely, yeah. There are some, not restrictions, but there's some tracking mechanisms. So if someone, is assisted with the funds like this and they sell the home within 5 years, then some of those funds are recaptured and recycled back into the next family. So yeah, there's ways to kind of create some protections for these funds so that they don't kind of just the homes don't get flipped. But we also want to genuinely give people equity, in those homes, because when they have equity, they're able to make their own investments in the neighborhood and in the home. And as homeowners, many do that.
Correct. How many, do you know it offhand, like percentage or any kind of metric on how many people have remained in the homes or got through the 5 years of funding?
It's probably over 90%, 95%, for 5 years. It's very rare that we'll see someone who's looking to move in that period of time.
Thank you.
Yes, so obviously you've had a lot of applicants for this program, correct? So I'm interested in knowing what's the criteria that's utilized to determine who are the successful applicants for these programs. And by the way, I think this is awesome, because I think home ownership, I think it's one of the best things for our city. When people own their homes, they tend to take pride in them and want to take care of their properties. So I applaud you for that. Just wondering what that criteria is.
Yeah, I mean, there's the full list of guidelines is on our website and can be accessed here at OECD as well. But really, it's a income-based program. So 80% area median income and below are eligible. There's a couple other guidelines and factors, but that's the main one. It's really targeted to help folks who may struggle being able to save for that down payment to get into the home and give them kind of that one tool to get them over the edge. We see the increase in the cost of rents across the city and across the region, unfortunately. And so many people can afford that monthly payment, the mortgage, because they're paying it anyway in rent in many cases, and sometimes more. But being able to save for that down payment for a working class family, for folks who are just trying to build their lives with young kids, it can be very challenging. So this kind of gets them over the hump. But that 80% area median income is the primary criteria.
Some of them combine this with like first-time home buyer grants, like HUD grants and things like that.
Yeah, this can be, these programs can be layered with, programs that local lenders and banks have on themselves. So yeah, we try to really make sure that we're finding as many resources of, that are available for people as possible, so that, again, the more people can come into that home purchase with and resources, if they have, we don't want them spending every dollar to purchase this home in the city of Scranton. We want them to, have $7,000, $10,000 in the bank so that they can participate in the Beautiful Blocks program and put some new awnings on and do the sidewalks. Like, there's all these other things. Sure. And so when people are strapped, for cash, they can't reinvest in the way that we'd like to. So this is just an opportunity to give people, that extra bit they need.
And is it you three that decide that, or is there a panel that determines?
No, there's, specific guidelines. So if they meet the guidelines, they apply for the program, they take the home buyer education and go through the process, then they're available. The funds are available as long as we have them. They get on the list and they shop for their home, and as long as there's resources, and it's kind of a first come, first served
Oh,
type
gotcha,
of approach.
okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. All right, thank you.
Yep, sure.
Gentlemen, thank you for coming in, updating us with all your projects and everything you do for our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Take a break.
Thank you, sir. You too, thank you.
Oh, she's going to come up.
Thank you, sir, appreciate it, thank you.